Hey guys, it's been several days. I thought I would bring you up to speed on what's been happening with us. A lot has happened actually. We are in beautiful Death Valley. You can kind of see the mountains behind me there, and there are actually palm trees and stuff that they water right in this area because the visitor center is over here. But here's what's going on. We've been without a signal for a little while, and we came over a mountain pass on the other side of these mountains over here, and it was a very, very, very steep grade. It was maybe 12% on the other side. Someone told me. We didn't see signs on the way up, but the engine was roaring, working hard, pulling up this more than 10,000 pounds we have here in our 38-foot travel trailer. It was very nerve-wracking, especially on the downside, which was, I think, like at 8% grade, but it was much longer, maybe 13 miles, and then it leveled out a little bit, and then there was another 9 miles going down. So it was very trying on our brakes. And what's been happening here lately is when I've been putting on the brakes, the truck is pulled to the left. Now, I replaced the brake caliper on the passenger side front, thinking that it felt a little loose, and the rubber boot in there was deteriorated. So I thought maybe there's some corrosion, so I replaced that. Well, still, it was pulling to the left, and the brakes were working so hard, so they were starting to get soft. Of course, we were in low gear, and the transmission was helping, but the transmission was extremely hot as well. So it was a stressful ride on the way down. So I stopped to check things out once we got down, and we did some sand dune action with the kids. And I looked in here. I've cleaned it up here a little bit, but there was some oil just sitting here, and just had splatted everywhere. In fact, I noticed it because I looked in here and I saw that somehow it got in this wheel well and splatted up here. So I didn't even know if that was oil, brake fluid, or power steering fluid. After looking at it more, also with a guy next to us who had been a mechanic, we think it's probably power steering fluid. But since then, we've driven a little further, and I haven't seen the level change. I think it was just when the RPMs were revving so high, the engine, it was heating up that fluid in there and adding a lot of pressure, and it must have spurted out somewhere. I guess I'll have to clean it up a lot more. And then we'll have to keep an eye on it, so we'll see exactly where it's coming from, because it's almost impossible to tell amongst all of these hoses right in here. So there was that, and that was really stressful, not knowing. I sure hope that's not brake fluid or oil. I mean, power steering fluid is not good either. Nothing that squirts is good. So that was on my mind. Then we came here past the sand dunes, came into the visitor center, and I noticed that this wheel looked just a little bit off, and we pulled in here to this parking lot, jacked it up, and started pushing on it, and it actually had over an 1/8 inch of play in it. It felt fairly loose. So then there was that, and then that meant I didn't know if we should go any further at all. I couldn't find anything wrong with it, and I had just replaced this brake hub here, or the bearings and hub, maybe 2 months ago, and so I was like, surely not. But yeah, it turns out that there was a faulty part here. So after looking at it more, but before I even knew what was wrong in here, and then I came around to the back side here, and I kind of inspect stuff as we go along, and I noticed that this hitch pin was pushed over like this, and it started going in and flattening out a little bit. Now, when we came to our campsite before we came over the ridge here into Death Valley, barely in Death Valley National Park on the other side, there were some boondocking spots, and I started going down the road, but it ended up being a lot rougher than I expected, and there was no turnaround place, so we're kind of committed until we got about a mile into the road where we can back in somewhere. And at that point, we just stayed there overnight. It was a nice spot, it's beautiful, but all that torquing around was the truck was turning different directions, the trailer other directions, and it just kept on working this thing. I don't know I think that's when it happened. It must have been getting a little bit loose. In fact, when we bought this truck, it was kind of like this, just a little loose in here. So so then that was on my shoulders. And on top of that, we had just the week before, I had just replaced the metal angle iron and the supports here for the freshwater tank, which had bursted the supports and come down. And so that was a huge ordeal, especially when you're ill and in pain most of the time. It was such an ordeal to do. And when I did, I had to have this exposed. It got down to 27 degrees. You see a drip just now. And so it drips about 2 drips per minute or something here in this little port, which is not bad. So I had that. And then at the same time, the faucet on the inside next to the kitchen sink was wearing out to where when you turn it off, it would be dripping. So you had to kind of back it up a little bit and find exactly the right spot. So I had multiple things weighing on me, and some of these things are major safety issues too. So man, I really just came to the end of my rope there, as I have several times, but this time it's just been a long road for, especially with the chronic illness over 6.5 years. I guess it would be going on 7 years here in another month. But man, and then I went to the visitor center. Their internet is down, so we stayed here overnight. And of course, when we don't have much of a signal here, and so I went to the visitor center the next day, and the internet was still down. They have no idea when it's going to be fixed, so I couldn't call out, I couldn't get online, I couldn't contact my mechanic friends, I couldn't order parts. We were just stuck here, and I was like, man, I don't know. I looked on, saw someone had Starlink, and came over here to our friends in this travel trailer here, and they were so gracious and said, hey, you can use our internet here. Actually, by that point, I was just really down, just worn out in my body, as I usually am, and then all these things coming on at the same time. The gentleman prayed for me. I even got down to tears. I just having such a hard time, but I'm just so thankful. You know, in those low moments, somehow, you know, when you're questioning, you know, God, He can handle our questions, and just what's going on, like why so many things, so much, so long. You just come to the end of what you're capable of handling well, and then right in your path, there's people who know Him and have His love to share. So I'm so thankful to the family of God, the body of Christ here. People came to our aid right at the right time, and that really helped, just having some people care and to pray for us, but also offer the internet so I can find some parts. And then there was another guy, he's already left, but he was just across the street here, and he had been a mechanic, and he came and looked it over. I took it apart, he watched, and we pulled that hub, the bearing assembly, the hub out, and he verified that it was a faulty hub that had been installed there. So unfortunately that happens sometimes, but man, sometimes it seems like more often, like for me sometimes. But anyway, it was a relief just to know that what it was, and it's, you know, wheel's not going to fall off. However, it's not recommended to pull this, and especially the way it turns that front wheel. It actually started to wobble. I felt it in the steering before we got to the visitor center, so I was like, what is going on here? So we use the internet here. I've ordered the parts. They actually have a post office here at the visitor center here at Death Valley, and there's general delivery. So I got on Amazon, ordered the parts again, and we're gonna have them shipped here. However, it's gonna be probably it's gonna be over a week, about a week and a half to get those parts here, and they only receive deliveries like Tuesdays and Thursdays or something like that, Tuesdays and Fridays. So we will be stuck here a while, and also our friends offered and paid for a week's stay. It's just a parking lot. There's no electricity, there's no plumbing, but they do charge you to park here, like $18 a night, And unless you're retired or a disability or something like that, they don't do it for the America the Beautiful military pass, unfortunately. So people, I just so appreciate, like, once again, the body of Christ, those who have the love of God, and even those who just think of others, and our friend here that came across and verified. And we looked at the hoses here. He didn't think it was something like a huge safety issue right away. And I drove around a little bit further, and the level didn't change. So it just must have been that overpressure, high revving engine, everything heating up, and it spurred out somewhere. Where that place is, I'll have to clean it up better and just keep an eye on it. And we'll just go from there. So we're going to be at Death Valley here for the next week until next Tuesday. I think that's December 3rd, and I guess we'll have to leave next Wednesday because I'll be hopefully receive the parts and be working on the vehicle, get everything back together. Even ordered a new pin here, ordered a new faucet nozzle insert. I ordered the new nozzle down here for the draining of the freshwater tank, and some other stuff. It's just so many things at once. And God's still good. He's gracious. Sometimes it's just not us trusting in Him. It is us trusting in Him, but He's given us each other to lean on and depend on. So I'm thankful for those who have that mentality and really just so kindly and generously help others out. And we've met a lot of nice people here, and that's how it goes here on the road. I almost forgot to mention, also, we had about 3 works that we usually have at least 3 weeks worth of propane in these larger 8-gallon tanks, and it all leaked out right before we came. So there's been an issue here. It hasn't been switching over correctly, and so I ordered this part as well. So that was the other thing. It's a water leak, propane leak, power steering leak, and then these other mechanical issues. Got the parts ordered. We're just kind of play the sit and wait game, and that's a chance for the kids to hop on their homeschooling, and we also get to see some sights around here. If I go 50 miles per hour or slower, it's fine on the truck. If I increase to over 55, it starts to get the wobble in the front. That'll wear things out. So we went to see just a couple of sites yesterday, and we'll just take it really easy here. Kids will get caught up on their homeschooling a little bit. We're going to have some fellowship with people, and hopefully, share the love of God with others as well. That's our update. Hope you guys are doing well. Wow, it's been such a trying time. I also have more of a testimony to give. I was really on the transformed migraine front. Let me get away from that generator. It's kind of loud. On the transformed migraine side of things, I've been about 11 days without any medication for the pain, and it's been extremely rough, especially toward the beginning, but it's kind of tapered off. And 2 days ago, or before yesterday, I had a couple of days where the pain was usually or about 30% of where it normally was. So that was like a good encouragement. And it's just let my body kind of equalize without interference, and just seeing where I'm at, and praying that God continue to progress my healing forward as He has done. I'm way better than I was a couple of years ago. Way, way, way better. So much pain all the time then. So the transformed migraine just means you have a migraine 24/7. And that's how it's been for over 6.5 years until several months ago. And I've had some pain-free mornings and occasionally less pain of an evening, and it's been kind of random. Something's going on. I am in the process of a detox. When I took a blood serum test, they found that my body was reacting with antibodies to specific mold toxins. So that's where we believe it started, that with a lot of stress and other things that were happening in my life years ago. But God is faithful, whether we're experiencing blessing at the time that we think or not. We know He's faithful. We believe this, and it's of faith. And if we were experiencing it, then that wouldn't require any faith. So I know that He's not just testing, pruning, refining, but He allows these things. He doesn't try to make these things happen, but the enemy does, and he allows them to allow us to be refined. I do believe I think I've changed quite a bit through chronic illness, and I think it's changed my outlook on a lot of things in life, and my approach toward other people as well. I've just gone deeper in God's mercy and His love, and as ironic as that sounds, somehow He uses these things. And when you submit your life to Him, put it in His hands, these trials don't go to waste. At the end, they yield a peaceable fruit of righteousness, of a sense of rightness with Him and right living. And we just submit ourselves to Him at all times, whether we're happy with what's going on with us or not. Wow, I have a lot of kids running around, and I have quite a bit of brain fog. Today, the migraine is pretty bad, and I was contemplating some things last night. I wanted to share a testimony, and like between 1 and 3, I have something called histamine degranulation. Kind of keeps you up for a while during the night, and even longer, and I felt like the Lord was really showing me things and ministering to me during that time last night or this morning. But I woke up with a migraine extremely bad, probably a 9 out of 10. But that's it's kind of how it goes. You never know how the next day will be. I've had a lot of better days, and I'm grateful. I'm thankful. Even the rangers here, Camp Host, was kind. She, one before, even gave us a day free stay here, knowing our situation. And then, of course, the neighbors here paid for a whole week. So grateful, so thankful. Still not completely out of the weeds, but we're still trusting and believing. Again, I'm not in charge. That's my main lesson. I'm not in control. I'm not in charge. He is. We submit our lives to God, and we trust He's working things out for our good. We know He is by faith, and we're going to see the other side of this thing. In this life, we'll have trouble. We'll all have trouble. It's just part of it. But trusting Him throughout those times is way better than allowing, bitterness and just negative mentality to take over. It'd be so easy for that, especially when you're not feeling well. But He's faithful. He's going to bring us through. He's going to bring you through. Just want you to be encouraged as well. I'll probably share more testimony what He's been showing me. I was writing some things down today, but my brain fog is just so bad. I'm so tired too. So anyway, you guys have a blessed week. This brings us up to date now. I'll let you know how things pan out here, and we'll go from there. See ya.